You wake up, eyes groggy, feeling the mental fog from binging hours of shorts, despite you telling yourself for the 100th time, this is the last one. When did this all start? You left home, a boy full of dreams, but with each day that passed, you slowly lost yourself. So much so, you no longer recognize who you are, not because you've changed, but because you've been performing for so long, you forgot who you were in the process. You do what you're told, you wear what's trending, you speak like the people around you, you scroll endlessly, looking for the pieces of yourself you lost long ago in the lives of those who you compare yourself to. You hide the dreams you had when you were a child, who looked up at the sky and saw the beauty and wonder in the mundane. You even hide how you truly feel, thinking that once the mask comes off, you'll lose everything you've built. It started out small, the jokes you laughed at that weren't funny, the opinions you swallowed, not to stand out, the goals and aspirations you gave up because the people around you said it would never happen. Day by day, piece by piece, you bartered your soul for acceptance. Until now, the years of selling yourself finally caught up. Tired, lethargic, unable to accept reality, it hits you. Who am I? And be not like those who forgot their Lord, for he made them forget themselves. We all wear one, the persona we present to the world, a mask designed on one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and on the other to conceal your true nature. A mask designed to impress the people you barely know, a mask to survive in a broken society where you avoid judgment, rejection, and vulnerability. But at what cost? Are you so afraid of failure, so afraid of how people will perceive you, that you'll continue the charade of being someone you aren't? For every time you lie to be accepted, you slowly begin to lose a piece of yourself until you eventually blend into the background, wondering what happened to the dreams, the joys, the wonder the world stole from you. And yet, you continue to live inauthentically, chasing the shadow of who you used to be, rather than accepting that who you are cannot exist alongside deception. You can't keep burying the parts of you that need healing, because the longer you wear the mask, the more exhausting it becomes. And with each passing day, it becomes heavier and harder to remove. But how can you return to who you are when you continue to confine yourself to the greatest prison? The fear of what other people will think of you. For we know that all the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely actors who put on the masks of societal expectations. As you glance at yourself in the mirror, you no longer recognize yourself. The tiredness you feel, the anxiety you've numbed, the mask you've worn for so long, you can't tell where it ends and you begin. When you finally muster the courage to glance at your reflection, you shrink away from the confrontation with reality and the reflection required for growth. You no longer recognize who you are, as nothing lies beneath the surface. So when you look in the mirror, do you see yourself, or do you see what they want you to be? People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. The self is shaped by all that you do, the brain being a sponge that absorbs what you feed it, and thus, you tend to ignore or do not realize how your algorithm shapes you. You scroll so much, you start to mimic what you see, speak how they speak, post what they post, and before you realize it, your identity is built upon the trends and clicks you waste your life away in, rather than the dreams that require your action to occur. You become an echo of the tribe, just another like on social media. You have lost your own desire as they become engineered and optimized for attention, not truth. For technology seduces you to believe that you can find yourself in your screens, but instead, you lose yourself there. You drown in the ever-flowing information while starving yourself from the wisdom required to discern between what is right and wrong. You're given the illusion of connection and intimacy, but are left feeling more isolated than ever. And in this loneliness and isolation, you become addicted to the validation of your social media following, while losing sight of who you truly are. The algorithm doesn't want you to be unique. It favors your conformity, and the continual pursuit of digital validation until you drift so far off, you forget who you are. Man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. Return to who you were. As you were born whole, you were born pure. The person who was there before all the comparison, criticism, and chaos. You may think you've forgotten who was behind the mask, but the soul knows what is true. The ache in your chest, the restlessness, the call to return to a self that was thrown away so long ago. You can spend a lifetime on this journey of removing the pieces that were never you, but it is the privilege of a lifetime to become who you truly are, as life is never made unbearable by circumstance, but by the masks you adopt to fill your lack of meaning and purpose. The longer you run, the heavier it gets, until one day you realize what you needed was never to create a new identity, but to remember the one you were born with. He has succeeded who purifies the soul, and he has failed who corrupts it. You began as a stranger, and you return to being strange. So give glad tidings to the strangers, the ones who risk delight, who hold tight to who they are. To belong to something greater, you don't need to change who you are, you just need the courage to be who you are. So return. Return to who you were before the world told you who to be. Don't gamble on the future. Don't barter your soul to fit someone else's blueprint. Act now without delay, because if you don't, you'll keep letting the unconscious direct your life and continue to call it fate. So dare to lose the lie you've been clinging to, because not daring is to lose yourself. You can choose to go back to the safety, the mask, the persona, the comfort, or you can step forward and return to where it all began. And that choice is something you'll have to make again and again and again. So ask yourself one last time, who are you? Not the mask they see, not the algorithm they follow, not the tired voice telling you to give up on the dreams you once carried with a heart full of wonder, but you, the one underneath it all. Because the most common form of despair is not being who you are, as he who knows himself knows his Lord.